number 1, which will be between, well, Series 1 is between Kamikaze and DoCBroWn. Between Scientology Vessel and Chobos with Attitude. So we have in the bottom left-hand corner as our orange Protoss, Kamikaze, 8231. And in the top corner as our brown Protoss, we have DoCBroWn. I was trying to read it as DoCBroWn, but I'm pretty damn sure it's DoCBroWn. It would make a lot more sense. Alright, I want to kill a few of these things. How do we get... I don't want to get rid of that. Not that. That we want. What's the hotkey to get rid of the thing over here? And that's replay progress. What is it? Alt F? Yeah. Alright. Looks better like that. Although I still think this is a little too big. Alright, I think we're on 1 speed too high. Didn't look right. Yeah, we're going 1 speed too high. Alright, now you can see we've got a pile. Are we on the right speed? Yeah, alright, we're on the right speed. I'm psyching myself out now. Sorry, guys. Alright, so we got pylon for both players. Do you get slightly supply blocked? Slightly supply blocked for DoCBroWn, so not the ideal start. Gonna slow everything down just a smidge. Gateway on 9 for DoCBroWn, so we can see the effects of that supply block unless he is playing to proxy 9-9, but that's unlikely since he did start making another probe. Now we should have gas coming up here at some point for our man Kamikaze. Maybe, maybe not. We do have gas for DoCBroWn, so just a little bit of an early supply block. Coming on in with the probe, getting a little scouting done. Is it possible to change the colors? No, that's at least not in this situation. You used to be able to. Someone was usually allied. Alright, so gas finishing up. Gas much later here for Kamikaze. That's a significantly later gas. As we can see, DoCBroWn is already done, possibly overcutting or intentionally cutting, because that is a really fast core. Obviously before the Zealot as well. But there's Cybercore going down for Kamikaze. And just scouting around. DoCBroWn has not sent out any sort of a scout yet. I guess that'll be the start. So he's going to go scout a little bit after second pylon. Nothing wrong with that. Especially in PvP, a lot of times you're not going to get any intel anyway. You're just going to get to the ramp. There's going to be a Zealot and a Dragoon, or in this case Choke, but it's going to be blocked. You're not going to see anything. So nothing wrong with a little bit later scout. Keep the eco a little bit stronger. Get a little bit faster Dragoon, a little bit faster Gateway. Pylon down. The other thing that drives me nuts is I don't think you can, you can't click on stuff under here. So like, it takes up a lot of the map, and I want to click on it, but you can't. You just can't, it just won't let you unless you do it that way. You can get under it with a drag. Alright, we got range on the way for DoCBroWn. And what is the tech path of choice? Second gateway, so we're likely looking at range here. At some point coming out of the Cybercore, but has not started it yet. Looks like he wants to get a Dragoon first, maybe? Kamikaze does? Although he is banking up some money. We'll see. Okay, so he's going to get range before his first Dragoon. Which also was the option for DoCBroWn. And probe now just chilling at the front. He's seen the single gateway. He'll probably want to come in here and take a look at some point to get a complete idea before that Dragoon pops up. And of course he's got a probe of his own in Kamikaze's base. Neither player opting to be too obnoxious with their probes right now. Just want to focus on executing their builds efficiently. So pretty similar builds. I wonder if the second gateway was in response to seeing the second gateway of Kamikaze, or if that was his plan from the start. Range almost done. And let's see here, both players continuing to produce probes. He's supply blocked? No, he's not supply blocked. He's just cutting probes in some fashion, perhaps intentional, perhaps not. What do we have down here? We have a robo, so possibly cutting probes to get a slightly faster robotics facility. First Dragoon out now, probe will have to go away, and oh, that is really unfortunate. DoCBroWn, I guess, just rallied it there. We'll see if this Dragoon is also, if he's rallied or if it's A-moved. Oh, so this is a little bit unfortunate for DoCBroWn, as Kamikaze is going to get a full swath of intel here, which is beautiful. He's going to see, this is of course very important. And yes. So he's going to see Citadel. Two gateways, you're probably thinking DT. If there was just one gateway in the Citadel, you still would quite possibly be thinking DT, but it's also possible to do Citadel, plop down about 3 more gateways and 4 gate leg slots. Kind of a cheeky little all-in type build. It looks like DoCBroWn is sending his Dragoons to the ramp, but of course Match Point has 2 entrances to this area outside the natural. You can come up the ramp, and then there's a space here you can walk through the 3rd base and up to here and inside. And we see another pylon, still on 2 gateways. Got the Robo coming, so he's not too worried. He did get his observatory first. This is going to be an expansion here from DoCBroWn at the same time as his archive. So this is not the way this build would normally play out. The Nexus is quite a bit faster, but the Dark Templar are a lot slower, and there's no forge here. In truth, if Kamikaze decides to be aggressive right now, DoCBroWn would be in a really difficult position. And the other thing that makes this totally different and much slower is the fact that, of course, he got range, which is why I was kind of confused about what was going on. So this is not, realistically, this is not a particularly optimal build, because you're getting range, which you don't need to defend. The idea is you get DTs out really fast, and that pushes back the initial Dragoons, and then, of course, you can cannon up, and then use Storm and Cannons to defend any sort of Reaver or Goon timing and have a reasonably fast Nexus, and then also a bit later have a nice Dragoon Storm slot timing. And of course, Shuttles, Reavers, you can get some damage done, but you have to dodge really, really well against the Storms to deal with that. Storm does damage onto Shuttles pretty quickly, and if you lose the Shuttle, then it's just 1 or 2 Storms and bye-bye Reavers. So we got 1 DT on the way, but the problem here is the OBS is already out, although he set it across the map. He's making a second one, so this shouldn't be an issue. I was going to say, if the OBS is across the map and he misses the path of the DT, which he should be anticipating, he didn't confirm in archives, but he's probably suspicious seeing a Citadel. But if you miss the DT and your OBS is across the map, then the DT just walks in, kills a bunch of probes, and the situation really sucks. But it looks like he's got this one rallied up right here to where he'd want, and this is a beautiful place for that observer to sit if he chooses to camp here, because DT's coming in there, DT's coming in there, observer's going to see both sides, he'll just auto-die, and of course he's going to get some nice scouting intel. He's got his forge up, interesting location for the forge, but he can cannon as needed. Oddly, oh wow, this is a lot of DTs. I wonder if he's just going to make a bunch of Dragoons and DTs and attack with this. He's got his second Nexus. Like I said, it does surprise me he hasn't at least sent a DT cross. You never know if you'll be able to slip one in. But either way, Kamikaze's pretty well ready to defend. But you see, here's the issue now. Without these cannons, if Kamikaze goes to attack, Kamikaze has, what, 6, almost 12 Dragoons? Well, there'd be 6 Dragoons and 2 DTs. So your 12 Goons easily gun down these Dragoons, and then you just cut away from the DTs and win. And oh, but he's going to lose the OBS of the cannon. Whoops. Oh, actually, the cannon missed. I'm pretty damn sure the cannon missed. Still got it, but now if he tries to run up this ramp and commits, this is going to be really bad for him. A counterattack would 100% kill him then, because I don't even think he's made High Templar yet. Yeah, he's continuing to make DTs, which is really a problem, because you're going to need High Templar to defend, especially if he makes Reaver, which he is. Without those High Templar, it's going to be next to impossible to defend a follow-up attack. But for right now, he's just going to chill. Awkward place to chill. It's on the low ground. It's not anything much. Alright, now we're going to walk in here. We'll see if he decides to commit to this. He should not. He's going to lose at least 1, make that true Dragoons. DT's coming there, but of course there are OBS, so he is just donating away units. Nice little step back micro from Kamikaze. And at some point here we should see a counter attack. Perhaps that'll be the trigger, but he might be nervous and still be waiting for his Reaver shuttle. He's getting that 3rd gateway. He's got his Nexus up. A little bit behind eco-wise, but his pro production has been generally better. So he's actually in a pretty strong position. More gateways going down for Kamikaze, who's a little bit nervous, and or for DoCBroWn, who's a little bit nervous, and Kamikaze. DoCBroWn could actually probably defend or hold reasonably well at this ramp, but the fact that I don't necessarily love the fact that he's pulling back, but I don't think he has enough cannons, and as long as he doesn't lose his observer, this should go pretty well from Kamikaze. I don't know if these 2 cannons finish, slight changing hold, but the Dragoon count is just way higher. And here we go, charging with a bunch of Dragoons, walking back into the DTs. It'll go down fast, pulls back the observer nicely, which is important, because that is one of the ways he could lose. He's got a few Dragoons shooting this cannon. It's going down. Numbers are way higher right now for Kamikaze, and it's looking like he's just going to smash through. Probes are not being pulled. Are there reinforcements, though? There are not. There might just be enough here, especially with a probe pull, for DoCBroWn to be able to hold this, and it's going to be close, but it's not looking great for him. A little bit of step back micro there to pick off the probes, and then we'll see him run in and pick off that last cannon. What does he have coming out from the gateway? He is having a few more Dragoons. Had he pulled probes sooner and earlier, I would say there's a chance he could have held this, but now it's looking pretty difficult. He's out of pylons here. Dragoons are walking up. Still needs to be a little bit careful of probes, but there's not a whole lot actually to defend with, having already used a few. And numbers are higher. The one saving grace that may allow DoCBroWn to hold on here is that Kamikaze didn't reinforce. Had Kamikaze sent these 4 Dragoons across the map right as they were being produced and as the attack was happening, he would have effortlessly busted. I think he still could have busted. He still had, 5 on 3, so I don't think there's any reason he had to stop the pressure there. But he's just going to wait for reinforcements and continue the attack, and it looks like it's still enough because he is producing pure Dragoon. And at the same time, take a look at this. There is a Dragoon that fortunately just popped from the gateway, but I doubt Kamikaze... Oh, but... Alright, he gets the Reaver down, but it's probably not going to do a whole lot. Just crawling up. Oh, come on, shoot a scare. Okay, gets 1 scarab off, 3 probes. Not really worth it for a Reaver and a shuttle. But numbers are still good for Kamikaze at the front. Superior production going on right now, and he is just picking off these Dragoons effortlessly, as this one's back here not helping, and the macro is just not tight enough right now for DoCBroWn. Not a whole lot of control here for Kamikaze. These Dragoons on A move, but DoCBroWn just saying, hey, I don't think I have enough. GG. Kamikaze takes the game. Oh, did I actually pause the rep? I did. And Kamikaze takes game 1 over DoCBroWn. That'll bring us to game number 2. And it looks like Circuit Breakers is either the selected map, the chosen child, or it is the map that DoCBroWn just picked. I'm honestly not sure on the format. You'd think I would know. I'm in the league, but I haven't had a chance to play or do any games yet or anything like that, so I don't know. But here we go into set number 2, Kamikaze versus DoCBroWn. In the bottom right-hand corner as our blue Protoss, we have Kamikaze, and in the top left-hand corner as our brown Protoss, fitting, very, very fittingly, we have DoCBroWn. So, yeah, first game, interesting. I don't think the builds were particularly optimal for either player. Kamikaze's was a little bit closer to what we'd think of as a standard build, getting 2 gateways and a robo. Some interesting probe cuts. Possibly they were intentionally, but I don't think you'd usually see probe cuts to get a faster robo. That's not super common, particularly since he wasn't going for a Reaver timing. Like, cutting probes for a faster observer doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you were going to probe cut and do that, I would expect directly to shuttle, which he didn't do. And then, of course, DoCBroWn had a bit of an odd build as well, basically going 2 Dragoons, 2-gate Dragoon range, but then opting for a Citadel, but after 2 gates in range. Normally you'd make the Citadel ASAPly. Pretty much as soon as the core finishes, the Citadel goes down, and as soon as the Citadel finishes, the Archives go down, and then you make 2 DTs. So I think that was a little inefficient for him. He could have had a much faster Nexus and faster DTs at a point where they might have been able to do something. And then the other thing I think that was not so good for DoCBroWn and caused him to lose that game was the attack up the ramp wasn't great. He threw away a couple DTs and a goon, but it wasn't decisive. He didn't throw away his whole army, but he didn't get enough cannons, and he didn't produce High Templar back at home. Had DoCBroWn added about 2 or 3 cannons and made a couple High Templar with Storm, as you typically would off of a DT opening, then you run into cannons and Storm with a group of 12 Dragoons in a clump at the choke. It's just going to go nowhere. And, I mean, Kamikaze didn't use the Reavers to support the attack, so there wasn't even a Reaver shuttle storm dodging component to that. So for those of you, for you two guys, that would be my thoughts on that game. And at this game, we can see it is going to be a 2 gateway here from DoCBroWn, so we're going to go into some aggression. And Kamikaze has a single gate, second gate finished up. He's not opting for Zlot first, so he's going to go for core, presumably. Alright, so yeah, we got a core. Building placement is, I'll be honest, this is not my favorite building placement. It's really mannered, especially if the Dragoons pop on this side. It's like a disaster because they're going to have to walk around. And if this is tight, which I don't think it is, I think a Dragoon can still get under here. If it was somehow tight, then it's like an epic disaster. But generally putting your gateways far away from the ramp is not as good because it just takes reinforcements longer to get down here to the natural. It's usually better to have your buildings up here. So we'll see. It'll be really interesting to see where units are popping, because if they're popping over here, they're probably going to path really stupidly. Like, if a Dragoon pops over here, its default pathing is probably not going to be around this way. It's probably going to be through the mineral line, which is just ugly. We got a Zlot on the way. This probe is being chased around. This probe should not be helping in the chase. That's not ideal, but he does pick it off. He's got 3 slots. Kamikaze's seen it coming, but he hasn't started going across the map. And unfortunately for DoCBroWn, he's opted to do this cross map. Obviously he doesn't know, but he is in a cross map position, which is not as nice as you'd like for Zealots, because it's just going to add that many, you know, 10, 8 seconds, 12 seconds of the travel time. But looking at the situation right now, we're going to have 1 Zealot on the ramp. We're going to have 2 Groons on the ramp. Oh, does he not know where he is? He's going the wrong way. Oh, what? How is he? Okay, he's fixing it now. But that's a little bit of wasted travel distance already. So he's going to have, like I said, 2 Goons, possibly as many 4 Goons possibly as many as 4 Dragoons at the ramp, and should shut this down pretty easily. Even with 2 in his lot, you know, you can hold it off long enough, and with your next 2 popping, Dragoons popping, it's not going to work out. I really don't see this being effective. He's continuing to reinforce. He's going to follow up with a 3rd gate and gas. Very interesting. No core yet, though, so I don't like taking the gas this early if you're not going to make the core. It's just going to be wasted mining, but here we go. We got him set up at the ramp. Should be able to... Ooh, Dragoon stutter for a second. Should be able to pick off at least 1 Zealot, though, before they get in. There goes that 1. Now he needs to micro back. He should have his next 2 Dragoons on the way. Very close to having those. So it's just a matter right now of doing good micro. Looks like he has right-clicked a Dragoon, which is never ideal. But, oh, Kamikaze is taking a critical break that he does not want. He's got to be careful with that Dragoon. But unfortunately, DoCBroWn, with the targeting on the Zealot, or targeting right-clicking the Dragoon, is not optimal, because then you just run that one away to oblivion. Now it's just on a move. But the micro from Kamikaze is plenty strong enough, not strong enough on DoCBroWn's side. And I think range is just about done. So now it's going to get really, really easy to kite back against these Zealots. And DoCBroWn is not very happy about how this is going at all. Seems to be a little bit of frustration here. Zealot's going down easy, and that one is done for. And now there's 3 Dragoons with range against a couple rallied Zealots. There's about to be 5 Dragoons, so this is absolutely shut down. Needs to stop sending Zealots across the map and think about a transition. But without a core, I'm not sure there's too much of a transition possible. And it looks like Kamikaze's just the more solid player right now in this matchup. That Zealot going down easily. No follow-up tech, but that's fine for right now because there's only Zealots being produced. Actually, he did get a core, so that is good, but it's a little too late. He really needs to send these guys across the map. If you're playing 2-gate, there's 2 ways to kind of play it. You can play it the way that DoCBroWn did, which is to tech up after you make... But usually you tech up after you make 3 or 5 Zealots. Oh, he's mad that his opponent is, I guess, much stronger than him. It's just luck of the draw, man. You can't match up that perfectly. There's just not enough player base. I understand the frustration, but it's just luck. Oh yeah, I forgot you can scroll out. Oh man. All right. Let's go back to more of a normal zoom. But usually, if you're going to play a 2-gate, you can go into tech, but you usually need to get Robotech or get something out with that. Not just Dragoons. I guess if you were going to play it all in, you could try that, and that's sort of what he's doing right now. But the way it gets most commonly played, especially at lower levels, it's pretty easy to do, is you make 5 Zealots, and then you come down and take a Nexus, get a Forge if you need it, cannon up, and then go into your tech from there, and that is a pretty strong way to play it. Basically 5 Zealot, 2-gate expand. Only thing, if you do that, you do have to watch out for DT drop, because if they do go for DTs and you play 2-gate, and they drop in your... Like, your cannons will defend your natural, but if they drop into your main, you lose the Nexus, so that's one thing to be aware of. Kamikaze taking a poke up the ramp, not able to do anything as there are 5 Dragoons sitting up there, and that should make him a little bit concerned. Now, the good news here is that even though DoCBroWn has followed up with 3 gates, which is fairly aggressive, and to be honest, quite possibly even if he followed up with 4, he made so many Zealots, you know, like, he made 5 or 6 that he donated, and then 2 or 3 more additionally, that his production is just not really going to catch up to Kamikaze in time to deal with Reaver, which he does not have in the shuttle yet. You know, so a lot of times, you know, if you're playing 4-gate Dragoon, you know, you can just bust up the ramp if you've got numbers, which, you know, it could easily be 6-4, 7-4, you know, that kind of situation, and you can just bust up the ramp. But because he made so many Zealots and just donated those for free, even if he didn't donate them, even if he had them, they still don't make a big difference because the Dragoons just walk back and pick them off. He made so many of those, and Kamikaze took no Dragoon losses that by the time he got on to his 3 gates of production, Kamikaze already had 6 or 7 Dragoons, and he's still making 2 per round, now 3, which is a little overkill, but I guess having seen that 3 from DoCBroWn, he's just matching. particularly like that, but I guess maybe he needs it. I don't know. But a forge and cannons, I think he's just got to expand and get Reaver, maybe add a battery or two and try to defend. Just getting a bunch of cannons is not going to be that helpful because he needs a base or tech. We'll see what he's going to do with this forge. And to be honest, if I were in Kamikaze's position, especially with the Reaver, presumably should be a Reaver. That's an accident, I'm assuming. I'm not entirely sure. I hope it's an accident. Are we getting a support bay? Okay, so he's getting Reaver. In Kamikaze's position, I probably would have just opted to expand here because you're already ahead. You've seen he's got 2 gates, but you know you've got a big advantage, and you know you've got a Reaver on your way. And you know, once with a Reaver coming out, you can defend even if he was on 3 or 4 gates. Your Dragoon count's going to be close, and you'd be able to defend. So what do we have? We've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Got maybe 12 group of Dragoons and 3 Zealots against like a group and a half. So this is more than enough for Kamikaze to defend, especially because, you know, Defender, you can set up an arc. It's got nice vision of it. Yeah, I don't really like these cannons in the main. This doesn't make any sense. I don't know what this is defend from. Cannons don't defend drops for shit, so they're not useful in that fashion. And if he's worried about DTs, well, he doesn't have an OBS anyway. Kamikaze's already set up here. He's already ahead. So, like, if he's defending DTs, it's not a good choice. Plus, the DTs could pick off everything down here, possibly even this gateway. It's just the cannons don't make any sense. If you're DoCBroWn, if you're watching this, don't make these cannons. If you're on one base, you know they're not going to defend anything relevant, especially at this stage in the game, and they're just really setting you behind. Like, you desperately need an expansion or something else. You know, you're just trying to bludgeon your way in, and you don't even have tech right now, and he has tech. So this attack, there's just no way to make this attack work. In order to have any chance, he would have to swing around and come from this direction. Trying to come over these bridges is suicide. He's just attacking into an arc. And Kamikaze is going to murder him at these ramps. And he's going to be forced back. A little concerning that Kamikaze has an X-Bode, but he's still got a huge army and tech advantage, so it's not like a bad position. But he should be he should probably have an expansion now and just confidently know he's going to win the game. And right now he's in a position where if he did something really stupid, he could still be behind or at least neutral. We are going to have a little bit of harass, and if this is microed properly, you'll see that the cannons don't do jack to defend it. Reaver outranges the cannons. I guess you could say it buys a little bit of time, but if you're trying to be aggressive, then you don't have any units to buy time for. Alright, so this is one way Kamikaze could possibly lose, although he might still have enough to come across the bridges, and he is getting across decently on this side. But if he totally botches this attack at the bridges, it could go poorly for him. I'm surprised he's not using the Reavers, but it's possible that Kamikaze just has enough units to bludgeon his way down, but you can see he's not being that effective. And even with very superior numbers, he's not going to bust across here. And he has not opted to harass with the shuttle either. So now this game slides back to even, and this is what I meant. Kamikaze did, well, actually, how's the production? Are we macroing? Okay, we are macroing. If he brings the shuttle around, though, he'd be able to get through. But trying to attack across these bridges, guys, again, not the best option. There's a ramp here, you walk up on the high ground, you come down here, you come this way. Much better chance. Or, depending on how they position, you can send most of your units this way, but if they try to arc here and choke you in this area, then you can also sweep, you know, maybe a small force in behind if you can coordinate that, and that can be an effective way to flank. It's tricky to do right, but it can be an option. But trying to send the army across the double bridges, really risky. But now we can see, you know, relatively even. Kamikaze had a much bigger army, and now he has an army that's barely bigger. So, relatively even game right now. And especially now that DoCBroWn is starting to get out some of his tech. One thing I would be curious is I don't think there's probably not enough probes. You know, both players could have a little bit more. I don't know. I know it's hard to tell how many probes there are. We got about 6 in a group, so probably about 18. Here we have 4 plus maybe, yeah. So at least 10 more probes for Kamikaze, which is probably most of his supply advantage, to be perfectly honest. Which will become a problem for DoCBroWn, especially if Kamikaze... Okay, so now Kamikaze is putting down the Nexus, as is DoCBroWn. So both players, similar Nexus timing. I don't think DoCBroWn doesn't have any way to get intel, so DoCBroWn doesn't know this. But with both players putting down a Nexus at around the same time, it's not necessary for DoCBroWn to be aggressive here. You know, if he had his Reaver down here and he wanted to be aggressive, he could do that, but he'd have to be smart about it. I hope he doesn't attack across the bridges. That would just be a bad idea. We do have a shuttle going back out, possibly thinking about harass part 2. We're getting a forge. We got 4 gates against 3. Who has... Okay, so Kamikaze does have the slightly faster Nexus. And I like... If DoCBroWn does this, I like it. I think these Dragoons should be slightly further back, maybe 1 step back. That's more detail. But he's got nice contain over these bridges. The one thing I don't like is there's no ops here, which it means that Kamikaze could walk around here and basically surprise the hell out of him and get him in a really bad position. Oh, we're going to have harassing each other at the same time. We got 2 Reavers popping in. Oh, this is such a good time for these Reavers. Holy shit, drop the Reavers. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, it's the wrong probe to target with the Scarab. Is it going to dud? Oh, no, it goes off. Alright, so he's going to get some sweet probe kills. This shuttle is forgotten in the... Oh, fuck, I'm getting attacked. Oh, he's got to get away. He's got to get away. Will he remember his shuttle over here? I don't know. We've got harassed. Oh, we got a Reaver. We got a crawl Reaver. Oh, it's already... Oh, maybe it did shoot at this cannon once earlier. Oh, it's going to derp. It's going to derp. It's derping so hard, and the shuttle's not in the right spot, so the Reaver's going to die. Not the best harass for Kamikaze. That was a nice win for DoCBroWn right there. Going to assassinate the shuttle as well. Disaster for Kamikaze. And Kamikaze is gradually throwing away his lead. Now DoCBroWn has his Nexus. Well, that's a bit unfortunate. Maybe the Reaver did get a couple probes, though. I don't know how that could have happened. But I also don't know where his probes went, because he's got none here. Okay, so I was about to say Kamikaze was behind, but he's still got better probe count. Both of you guys, though, you need a lot more. Whoa. Okay, so also, another thing you can notice, if you have less than 1 probe per patch, you don't need to transfer. Like, he just transferred 6 probes. Oh, but this is what I was worried about. Kamikaze did have this option, but DoCBroWn has enough army down here that Kamikaze can't make it work. But had the army from Kamikaze been equal in army size, then that could have been really bad for DoCBroWn, because Kamikaze comes all the way up here and gets a giant arc, and DoCBroWn really has nowhere to run. But let's see. Alright, so Kamikaze's in a good position here. Actually, no, this is a better position for DoCBroWn. Kamikaze needs to pull back. He's fighting in a bad area right now, but it looks like his army is a lot bigger. I don't think DoCBroWn should be taking this fight. He needs to get a sense of how many Dragoons are here, and despite being in a bad position, it looks like Kamikaze... Oh, this is really not well controlled for Kamikaze, but he's just got a lot more than DoCBroWn, and DoCBroWn kind of throwing away his army here. Not the best choice of fights. Kamikaze just has way too many Dragoons. He really needs to pay attention to his Dragoons, though. Walk them forward, please. Please move them. No, don't fight this way. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Alright, so Kamikaze cleans that up. DoCBroWn, you should have run away. Kamikaze, when that's happening, take your Dragoons, shoot, move them forward, shoot again, move them forward, let everything fight. You were fighting with like 6 at a time, and oh, whoa. That was too early to GG. That wasn't an ideal fight for DoCBroWn, but that was too early to GG, I'm pretty sure. So here, I'll show you what I was talking about, just to be clear, Kamikaze, if you end up watching this. So you move back here, right? Then you move in, and see, this is not the place for you to fight right now, because right now, if he sets up, he goes here, almost by default. You'll have these 5 or 6 dudes attacking, these 5 or 6 dudes in here attacking, and these guys can't do shit, but he's got this arc, like here, he's got all 15 shooting at you at once, and some on the high ground. So you've got the advantage here, it's your base, so what you want to do is you want to back these guys up over here, back these guys over here, and let him walk right in here while you're set up in a beautiful arc back there. But if you do see here, you're like, okay, I got way more than him, I've got all these units, I can win this. Well, what you want to do now is not pull back. Well, you could pull back like that, but then you kind of walk back in, right? Don't do that. Take these Dragoons, walk them forward to right here, get right up in his face, especially if you've got numbers, and then these back ones will naturally come in on their A move and get in there and shoot. But right now, you can see, look at how you fight this fight. Look at all these Dragoons back here just literally not doing anything because they just can't get up to the front lines. Now, you had numbers, so you take the fight pretty easily, but you could have taken that way more convincingly. Unfortunately, Doc also had a few Dragoons back here that weren't exactly being the smartest guys possible. I just want to see where we were at position-wise. I mean, it was pretty bad, DoCBroWn. It was pretty bad. 8. He's got, what, 4 gates? Well, you guys are pretty even on economy. You could both have more probes. Both of you guys have weak probe counts. But, I don't know. Like, if he comes and attacks you, you're dead. But he'd been pretty passive. I would have made him come to you before I GG, because your economies are close enough that, you know, you could get more out of that game. But if he attacks, I don't think he could have survived, especially if he brings his Reaver. So Kamikaze will take the series 2-0, and we will go into our next set of games.